Back into Philly Sports Talk, brought to you by Comcast Business. Amy Fiddle, Mark Farzetta, joined now by NJ.com's own Elliot Shore-Parks, Eagles beat writer, Rounce man himself. I'll ask you our poll question. Now that gambling is going to be legal, what are the chances? Yes?
For me?
Yes.
Well, I said Howie Roseman would never win a playoff game, and they're a Super Bowl champion, so I'll probably stay away from, I'll stay away from putting my money on the games for now.
Pretty crazy, though, that this came out. I mean, everybody talked about how this has already been going on in one form or another. How surprised were you that it was this quick?
Yeah, I mean, it does change, because like you're saying, if you're already gambling, I mean, are you really going to switch from how you're doing it? I would bet a lot of people will place like one bet and then move on, but if you get a hot streak, man, you got to keep going. Like John Clark was saying with the Eagles last year, ride that hot streak.
Ride that hot streak. We're not condoning gambling. We're just saying that if you're interested, it's available now. But let's talk a little rookie camp. This past weekend we saw that's the first look at the guys that they drafted, undrafted free agents as well. The big name everybody, of course, is talking about is Milotic, the Australian rugby player, but we're going to get him in just a second. Is there a guy that maybe from this rookie draft class that stood out to you?
From the guys they actually drafted?
Yes.
So for me, it would be Josh Sweat. The defensive end out of Florida State. He's a guy that just off of potential could have been a first-round pick. I mean, he was a five-star recruit coming out of Virginia going to Florida State. Suffered his knee injury. The crazy thing is it was 3 years ago. I mean, this happened in high school, and it still dropped him all the way to the fourth round. That's how severe it was. He said he thought he might have lost his leg because of that. And he stands head and shoulders above the defensive ends that were out there. Now, right now, it's all the undrafted guys and the rookies, so when the real guys come, we'll see if he still sticks out. But the way he runs, his production he had, and he says he thinks his game's actually going to be way better in the NFL than it was in college.
Yeah, he's got that speed, too, and you don't see that usually with a guy of that size. But Mark, you know, when you think about this draft class and these groups, is there always one that you think about, I really want to see what that guy looks like because he was drafted either it's high or low?
Well, Goddard is the obvious one right now, and I like the idea of a guy that is a pass-catching tight end that is also very physical and willing to block and seems to have a good handle on that already. Brent Selleck is a guy that really had to be coached up to do that. I remember when Brent was first drafted, talking to him about really learning that specialty, that skill set to add to his repertoire. But you look at a guy like Goddard, he seems to come into the NFL being able to do that very well already. But after that, I got to look at a guy like Avonte Maddox, the cornerback. He's a smaller guy that I think a lot of people will be really into. A guy that will get a lot of fans on his side quickly because he will have that underdog chip on his shoulder that, yes, will carry into this upcoming season. But he's one of those guys I think will be very surprising to people because he'll catch them off guard when it comes to his size.
And the other thing I'll say about Goddard really quick is the way you win in the NFL, and the Eagles showed this last year, you control the middle of the field. And they did that with Nelson Aguilar. They did it with Zach Ertz. Losing Trey Burton hurts, but I think Goddard is going to be an upgrade over what they got in Burton from just a receiving tight end. Obviously, Selleck, wouldn't surprise me if he was back. I mean, they need a blocking guy, but with Ertz and Goddard, they might have the two best receiving duo combo at tight end, even though he's just a rookie. I mean, that's how much potential he has, and you already have the best tight end in Ertz. So I think they could really control the middle of the field next year.
Yeah, and they love to run those two tight end sets, and now they have two guys that can match on either side. You just mentioned fan favorites. This guy already is drawn a lot of interest. Former Australian rugby player. He's a rugby player, never played football. Jordan Milotic, drafted in the 7th round. There's always kind of one of these. Ray Dininger was here last week to mind because he was better known for his skiing. This guy's literally never played a single snap of football. That is a monumental jump to go from, I've never tried football, to, hey, here's the NFL.
And he's very honest about it. When he spoke after his first practice on this past Friday, he said, yeah, I was completely lost. Like, it was really hard. And that, you know, makes sense. Like you said, he's never played. But, you know, afterwards, he was staying after working with coaches, and he seems like he's really a guy that's willing to put the work in. And when you have that along with, I mean, the guy is a physical freak. I mean, look at him. Now, of course, he's not playing against the guys that he was at the rugby video. And that was one thing that stood out to me is, you know, you see him in that rugby video and you're like, oh my God, this guy is huge. And he is a big guy, but, you know, when he's next to NFL players, doesn't stand out as much. But after practice, he was working with Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, and he swung his arm, and Stoutland said, if you do that in a game, you'll kill somebody. So that's how big and how, you know, powerful this guy is. So I think this year might be tough for him to make the team, maybe like a practice squad guy, but I think his future is bright, despite the fact he's never played.
I mean, a rugby player. I like it.
It's better than
trying new things with a fireman.
Yeah, exactly. It's better than a fireman or a hockey player who Danny Watkins was both, but he'll remain in our memories fondly forever. But undrafted free agent running back Josh Adams from Notre Dame. People know the name, of course, from his college days. A lot of people do, and we've seen what the Eagles have been able to do with a guy like Corey Clement. So can Adams kind of follow in his footsteps?
Well, it's going to be tough just because last year when Corey Clement came in, they needed running backs. I mean, this team was looking for him. Now they have 6, 7 guys they could keep on this roster. Adams, though, I think he brings something unique. I mean, he does stand out in terms of his size, 6'2", long arms. This guy is kind of like a skinnier LeGarrette Blount in a way, but he's tall like that. So when you look at the other Eagles running back, Darren Sproles, Ajayi, Clement, obviously Pumphrey, Smallwood, these are undersized guys for the position. So I do think Adams could come in, and as Eagles showed last year, they will keep the best guys. I mean, they kept 5 running backs last year, even though teams would mostly keep 4 because they didn't want to get rid of Clement. So I think Adams definitely has a shot, and especially when you look at the future, Ajayi, a free agent after this year, Sproles is probably gone after this year. Wendell Smallwood and Pumphrey, who knows what they're going to be. So if Adams shows something in training camp, the Eagles will definitely try to keep him.
Is there one player that's maybe flying under the radar for people at home that they don't really know about?
One guy I think fans really should get to know quickly is Jeremy Reeves, a safety, undrafted guy, for 2 reasons. One, a lot of scouts thought he was the most safety in the draft in terms of a hitter, and we all know Eagles fans love their big hitters, but they need backup safeties. They have Jenkins and McLeod, but outside of that, I mean, you have Maragos coming off ACL, but he's never even been like a real backup safety. He's more of a special teams guy. So after that, you're looking at Trey Sullivan, but the backup safety position is wide open, and today when I was going over the roster, I noticed they brought in 4 undrafted safeties. So they are clearly looking for these guys to come in and contribute. Reeves is a guy, I mean, yeah, he was a guy they brought in prior to the draft, so I think they have a ton of interest and he could make the team.